right, Pickle. I'm taking a look at this. Yesterday was Monday, and tomorrow is Wednesday, which makes today
Math Tuesday.
It's Math Tuesday here on Texas Football Today, where we like to dig into math. Talk a little bit about math. So one of the things I do for each edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and I'm working on it right now, is a piece called Recruiting Between the Numbers. Recruiting Between the Numbers is where we take a look at the signing classes of all 127 FBS teams across the nation, and just kind of analyze them in a bunch of different ways. I'm always, of course, one of the things that we want to see is which state signed the most kids. Spoiler.
Yeehaw!
Texas. We did it again.
The king.
One of those things, I'm always interested which school signed the most kids, right? Would you care to guess?
The most Texas kids?
Which
kids?
Texas high school signed the most players to FBS letters of intent?
Ooh.
In 2022.
Duncanville?
Wow.
Is that
ding, 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 ding,
Let's
ding.
go!
Wow.
Woo!
Well done.
I'm retired. We're done for the day.
But we also break it down which region of the state brings out the most. Which teams do their most recruiting in-state? Things like that. We break it down a lot of different ways. It's a fun piece to do.
Yep.
It's an exhausting piece to do because one of the things you have to do is make a database of every recruit who was signed in 2022. And that's a lot because there's 127 FBS non-service academy schools. So let's hit this with a disclaimer.
Okay.
Disclaimer. See, I'm wearing my beautiful Army shirt from our friends at Home Field Apparel.
The mule.
Okay. I love the troops. I love the air troops. I love the sea troops. Love all the troops. They don't count because they
you
do
don't
not sign letters of intent to play. You don't sign a letter of intent to play for Army.
No.
That's a whole much more important thing that you do.
Yeah.
You just happen to be playing football while
defending
you're there.
your country.
Right. So
rather than just your quarterback.
So when we're talking about the players who signed, we're talking only about the 127 non-service academy FBS teams. Cool?
Cool.
There's something going on that I have noticed.
Here's your local conspiracy theorist, Greg
There's
Shepard.
something going on, and I want to tell you why it is getting harder to get recruited. Okay?
Okay.
Plain and simple, teams are signing fewer players. They're signing fewer players. So I want to bring up this first chart. This first chart is the number of high school signees by FBS schools each year. Okay? Start in 2017. 2,442. Okay? 2,442. And by the way, if you take a look historically, that is about 2,400. Between 2,300 and 2,400 is a good, ballpark area for the number of FBS kids who are going to sign FBS. Once we got to the 128 or 130 schools, it's about 2,400 is a good ballpark for that. Which should make sense, by the way, because considering the fact that you're talking about, if you're talking about 127 schools, right? That would be about 19 kids per school.
Okay. Yeah, that seems right.
Sounds about right. Between 18 and 20 is probably about the range for how many kids are getting signed. You look at 2018, 2,409. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, about the same. 2,361, 2,320, stuff like that. 2,320 and 2020, right? You get to 2021. Now,
chaos ensued.
Now, I want to point out two things about this. One, there's COVID. So every team, if in 2020, every player got a COVID waiver saying that you get an extra year of eligibility regardless of whether or not you play or not. 2020 doesn't count. 2020 is a do-over. It's a mulligan, to use a golf term.
Look at that.
It's a do-over. So naturally, you would expect the number of high school signees to drop in the class of 2021.
Yes.
Because they don't need as many players. And it did. It dropped to 2,130. But I think everyone looked around and they said, okay, this is easily explainable. There's fewer kids. They signed, 200 fewer kids.
Right.
That is simply because
seniors are coming back.
Got kids. Yeah. You don't need them. right?
Yep.
You got the scholarships, but you don't need to go out there and get those guys. We don't want to junk up our roster. Junk up our rosters, it seems like a derogatory term, but you don't want to get so many kids on your roster that it gets unwieldy.
Right.
Right? There's that. So then explain 2022.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
A dip to 1961. Okay? That means that in 6 years, the number of high school signees across America has dropped by 481 signees.
That's
okay?
wild.
481. That's 22%, I want to say it is. 22% it is down. Now,
That's almost a fourth. That's insane.
that is a huge drop. It's a massive drop. Pickle, do you know what happened in April 2021? The NCAA rule went into effect that you can transfer one time and be immediately eligible.
Yep.
That is straight up what happened, and you are seeing the ramifications there. That instead
Of having to sit out for a year.
right, it was 22.5% change, drop since 2017. Okay, that is the biggest thing. Is the transfer portal and being immediately eligible means that if you need a player, you've got two options. You can go and you can sign an 18-year-old, or you can go and you can sign a guy off of who is unnecessary off of another roster and go bring him on instead.
Yeah, I feel like that hits really hard for Group of 5 schools too, because that might be the targeted point that it hits the most, because you have a backup quarterback that's never going to see the light of day at Alabama or Ole Miss or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, he can just transfer and start playing right now and wrecking shop in Conference USA.
That's precisely right. That's exactly what's going on. Is you are having this huge drop in the number of signees. They're just plain and simple, they're taking fewer kids. But let me draw one more line for you, because if you want to talk about, because there's a possibility that the COVID waiver thing kind of runs its course, and maybe this bounces back up to
more
2,100.
steady.
I don't
Yeah.
think we're ever getting back to 2,400 kids
No.
being signed unless we add more FBS teams. But we are, but
you can drop it down to a 12 to 15%.
yes, exactly right. But I'll tell you what ain't coming back. It's the next chart. Let's talk about junior colleges, okay? Because junior colleges, this is the new normal, okay? Because you take a look back in 2017, 340 JUCO kids signed. 340. And that was really, again, there's a pretty clear range there, right? Between about 300 and 350. Every year, junior college signees were going to go there. 2021, another understandable dip, okay? Down to 98 kids, because we don't, like, the whole purpose of getting JUCO kids is to get older quicker. Well, you can just get older with your own guys, because we can just bring the whole roster back, right? And we're just going to do that. It's fine. Drop down to 98, fewer kids. There was a rebound in 2022, back up to 194, but I'm here to tell you that might be the top end.
Yeah.
Junior colleges, I think they are going to be hit most by the transfer portal, because think about it. Let's say your beloved North Texas Mean Green need an offensive guard. Are they going to go to Trinity Valley Community College and get their big star, or are they going to go to a guy who's a former 4-star
at Texas Tech,
who can't crack the roster at LSU and say, hey, why don't you come back and play here?
Yep.
This is not coming back. I'm confident in that for junior colleges, the transfer portal is a big blow for them.
Oh yeah, well, and especially too, if you're going back to that example of North Texas bringing someone in at LSU, they're going to hit the, hey, come back home thing. Like, depending on the schools that are located in the big metroplex areas are going to have the biggest heyday with this, because you can just convince people, hey, come back and play for the hometown team. You'll be an instant starter.
You are spot on. We literally just talked about this yesterday with Brandon Campbell, the running back from the Houston area, played for 3 high schools there in the Houston area, went to USC, played pretty sparingly out there at USC. Coaching change. Dana Holgerson says,
Hey,
come on home.
yeah.
We use a running back.
Yeah, you can start. You can play in front of your family every single
Exactly right.
weekend. You can be home and have mom do laundry. It's like, I mean,
I think that if you're looking for the tangible ways in which the transfer portal has changed the game, it is coming down to things like this. It's coming down to fewer high school kids and especially fewer junior college kids signing letters of intent and going to play in FBS. I think it's just I think it's the nature of the beast.
Yep.
Because you're still going to have Alabama go out there and sign a 21-person class.
absolutely.
But then you're also going to have Louisiana Monroe, who signed one high schooler.
And the rest are transfers.
And the rest are just transfer. The rest are the guys who couldn't crack the depth chart from Alabama's 21-person class.
Right. So
I think this is the new normal.
if we want to really take a deep dive back into who we've talked about doing this so much, if you want to take a look at Texas State, they were ahead of the curve. They just have to figure out how to get it to work, to be honest with you.
Texas State, same thing. I believe last year they did not sign a high school signee. This year they signed 2.
2. Yep.
So they've signed 2 in 2 seasons. Now maybe
Is that production working?
right,
But
maybe it doesn't work, and maybe they fire Jake Spavital, and maybe they bring somebody else in, and maybe they say, okay, we're gonna
Dive back
go
into
back
high
into
school.
that. But for every school that's like that, there's going to be another school that goes the other way.
Right. Well, and I think, too, that we talk a lot, obviously, about the Texas programs, and so there's a lot of times where when someone does that and they don't take advantage of the Texas high school talent, then we say, well, you're kind of dumb for doing that. But if you obviously that data tracked for everyone in the entire country, and not everyone has the pick of athletes that we do here in Texas high school football, so that definitely steers the curve there, too.
Yeah, exactly right. So, I was finishing up that article last night for the magazine, and it shocked me.
Yeah,
That is
wild.
To put that together on a graph and to see that you've seen a 22% drop in the number of high school signees. I mean, heck, it's basically a third drop in junior college.
Yep.
And that's by the way after COVID, right? The COVID, I think we all agreed, weird year. 2021 was always going to be a weird signing
football
class.
year. Yep.
Well, now we're in 2022, and maybe there are some lingering effects.
Yeah,
of that,
residual effect, but
it ain't getting back to 2,400 high school kids
No.
getting signed, guys.
well,
Not in this new normal.
I wouldn't be surprised if we go up and kind of plateau from there, but it's not spiking.
Maybe we get to 2,000 again or
Yeah.
2,100, but it's going to stay right there. We ain't going to get back up to 2,400. There are 300 minimum, 300 fewer spots for high school kids across the country than there were 6 years ago.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.